We're straight misinformation podcasters. We're like,
It's not. That's that's real. That's 100% real.
it's like InfoWars right now, dude.
Get us shut down.
I think that's how you get big, actually.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Whipped Cream Salmon. I'm your host, Ronnie Sanchez. Joined with me, as always, Brian Bastanza. Brian, Tuesday, our favorite day. New episode dropped today. Record day. I love being here. How you doing?
Let's go. New episode dropped. Love that. Love being in the stew. Getting some reps in, you know what I mean? Had a pretty good week. Had a fun weekend. We hung out this weekend. That's fun time. So we always welcome that. We ate some food. We also went to a football game, which was really fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Got to see my Chargers win.
Yeah.
And as much as I loved watching my team win, it's not quite as fun as when the opposing team is just downright awful.
Yeah, they're bad.
The crowd was sad. There was a bunch of sad boys in Charlotte.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I'm not a Charlotte fan, so or a Panthers fan at all. So I thought it was a pretty good time.
Forgot to mention that this is the pod where we talk about food, friends, and fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
Can't leave that out.
Drop it on them.
Drop it on them. You got a beer? You got a beer with you?
I do. Back on my lunchbox kick. Let me get this zipper for the mic.
I'm not sure the mic picked any of that up. I got a beer from Raleigh here, from a place called Brewery, Bhavana, and it is a fruited session IPA called Surf.
Nice. Shred it, dude. Shred it, brah.
Shred in the
like
gnar.
that. I'm a little nervous about this beer.
Uh-oh.
I got another Edmund's Oast Brewing Company beer, and this is sour cherry pineapple. American sour ale brewed with cherry and pineapple from Charleston, South Carolina.
Hold it up.
Sure will.
Oh, I almost bought that.
I'm not sure that I'm a sour guy.
I saw that.
I
don't think you are.
I feel heartburn coming on without even drinking. Just thinking about it is giving me heartburn. Is that common?
Uh-oh.
Tell me.
Maybe. Actually, yeah.
I'm not fucking scared, dude. I'm not fucking scared. Fourth quarter.
Don't be scared.
Fourth quarter.
Scared of a little pineapple?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean,
he likes it. He likes it. He really likes it.
If you added I don't know, a bunch of sugar to it and then some water, you'd have yourself a nice lemonade. People should do that. Sangria.
Sounds delightful.
I don't know.
Sangria for the boys?
For the boys. Ferda. You ever just say Ferda when you're hanging out on the line or something?
Been a minute. Oh, I need to get ahead of something here.
Getting ahead?
So I was listening back to our last pod. We are not very smart people.
Both of us? I mean, speak for yourself.
We were talking about the. Oh,
okay.
I'll let you be the judge of it after I read this. We were talking about the size of the Conroe grill, and I said it was roughly 52 inches long, which is 5 feet. It's not that
40
long.
inches.
To which you replied, "That's no." You said that's 40 centimeters.
Really? No, you said it was 28 inches, and I said it was 40 centimeters.
No, man, no. I wish that's what we said, but
fact check. We're fact checking now. There's no moderators here, dude. We don't have to do all this.
I just listened to it. I listened to it back, and I listened to that part back today, and I was like, "Oh, those numbers don't add up. We're fucking idiots."
Centimeters so much smaller than an inch.
Yeah.
For our international listeners, that is a fact. Dropped on you. Mic drop.
So I just wanted to get ahead of that, recognize our follies.
We've definitely dropped a bunch of misinformation.
For sure.
Yeah, and we don't fact check each other.
The grill is more like 24 inches long.
Yeah.
It's about 2 feet.
Which is probably 40 centimeters.
Maybe. Don't quote us on that.
You said it was 5 feet long? 4.5 feet?
Well, because when I ordered it,
it's like up to here.
So when I ordered, I also didn't talk about. I said like, oh, I bought these like steel bars that go on top of the grill. I didn't even explain what they were. They're the bars they lay across the top of the grill opening so that you can lay the skewers on like the tip of the wooden skewer and like the end of the wooden skewer, and then the meat is like rests between the two bars, so the meat is like suspended. It's not like sitting on a grate.
Oh, is that always how it is?
And when I ordered those, yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's not how I pictured it.
Right. So when I ordered it, it was listed at the bars were listed at like 52 centimeters. I'm an idiot, and I thought in my head 52 inches because we don't often measure things in centimeters.
Well, you and me.
Correct.
Some people do.
Americans. Dumb Americans. So, hand up.
Okay.
I got a good laugh of that driving into work today when I was listening to it back. I was like, well, those numbers don't add up. That's really wrong.
That's awesome. I love that.
So, anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
I saw a dude, it was like a reel on Instagram or whatever, making skewers. And he kind of made like, he just had like a brisket and he was just like with a knife, just like basically like slice this brisket super thin or as thin as he could. And then just starts like banging at it, like 2 hands, 2 knives kind of, and winds up like getting this like grind out of it.
Okay.
And made skewers with that. It was kind of like a meatball, not a meatball. I don't know, but you know, ground. I think he was using lamb.
Interesting. I have seen like yakitori skewers where, because I mean, the idea of yakitori is they use like the entire fucking bird. I mean, like the organs and then like the cartilage and weird shit. Like they get like really deep. They use fucking everything. And with like the scrap pieces, they scrape, you know, all the extra meat like between the ribs and stuff, and then they make grind out of that, and they do like a ground meat skewer. It's kind of a meatball sort of, but it's mixed with like cartilage and shit.
Is this the thing? So I also sometimes see skewers that are like, it's kind of like a sword almost, like a long thin blade.
That's more, yeah. No, it's not that, but same principle. Yeah, what you're talking about, I think that's more like the lamb kebabs, like the keftka,
Like a kebab.
kebabs.
I think kebab.
Mm-hmm. I think that's like popular in like Turkey.
Love some good turkey, dude. A little turkey breast.
Mm-hmm.
Frying that motherfucker.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Turkey, I think it's called.
Yeah, they changed it. It's got like a IYE in there now. It's like Turkey A. That's how they spell it.
Turkey A?
I don't know. They changed the spelling of it. It's just, I don't know why, but whatever, however they want to.
We're straight misinformation podcasters. We're like,
it's not. That's one. That's real. That's 100% real.
It's like InfoWars right now, dude.
Get us shut down.
I think that's how you get big, actually.
Okay. Well, let's lean into it then.
Yeah, let's lean into it. What else went on this week? Cook. What'd you cook?
You made us some pizza dough.
I did. Yeah,
that was fun. It's some really good pizza.
Yeah, love making some pizza. Actually did it right. I feel like typically, I think I said this to you, that like I'm always like a last minute, or at the very least, like I'm starting pizza dough in the afternoon and expect to have it at that evening for dinner. Um,
Yeah.
and this time I happened to be doing a lot of prep anyway, so I was able to like the day before. So this is Saturday, and I so like Saturday midday, I like made the dough and then let it like um, what do you call it? Just
Ferment.
ferment overnight in the cooler.
Yeah.
Um, which was great, and it worked out pretty well. And we made some I don't know what kind of style would you call it? Just kind of regular. They're like probably like 10-inch rounds. So there were actually some different sizes, but I'd say like the ideal size was probably like a 10-inch, maybe a 12-inch round. Kind of like a. I thought the crusts were pretty good. It was like had like
They were really good.
pretty good rise on it.
They had a nice crunch to them.
I mean, nothing fancy, right? I don't have a pizza oven or anything like that, but I feel like I don't know. I've like thought about like, oh, if it would be cool to have one, and honestly, like whenever my mind goes, I'm like, I'm not sure that I would use an uni grill that often if I had one.
Yeah.
It is cool like doing some outdoor stuff, and I do think like I would be creative enough to like use it for not only pizza, but I mean, dude, 550-degree oven and a pizza stone or a pizza steel, and like I think for homemade pizza, it's pretty good. I mean, there's obviously another level when you get to like the really like high end pizza ovens that are like wood fired ovens and stuff, and there's really hot like 800-900 degrees and all that. But um, I don't really, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere closer than the where we got. Um, I think like the the gains I could make are in like technique of like working with the dough rather than like get it buying my way into like a nicer oven. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think just having the pizza stone, I don't own one, but I mean, it makes a huge difference. Like you can't accomplish that like hard crust. Also, I don't even know how the fuck you would get it in the oven, other than just like on a sheet tray, which you'll never get a hard
Sure.
crust, you know.
Sure.
And that's the name of the game when you're making pizza at home, really,
Yeah. I mean, and I do like
or pizza in general, right? Like the undercarriage of the pizza is like kind of like one of the most important. That's like the most important part.
yeah. I will say though, like for home cooking, pan pizza is where it's at.
Mm,
You know, like if you have a cast iron or
that works great too.
I used so Monday night we still had a dough left over, and I just took one of those half hotel pans and just did like a little pan pizza in there. And that worked great. And so yeah, when you don't have
Do you heat the cast iron first?
I didn't well I didn't use the cast iron. I used the the hotel pan, the half hotel pan. Um
Okay.
no, I never really heated the I mean it's hot. I shouldn't say that. I think one time I did like heat it up. I've also done it in the cast iron and then like pulled it out of the oven and then put it onto the burner to like finish crisping
Mm-hmm.
once it came out with the cast iron. Um, I just think it's really good like cheat way to get like a good meal.
Yeah.
Again, like you're probably not going to get the best pizza of your life at the house, but you can be pretty damn close. And you know, bad pizza is still a pretty good time.
Yeah, I have been interested in trying something like that in a cast iron where you kind of make that. I guess it'd be like Detroit style, where it's like thick and airy. It's almost like focaccia, and
Mm-hmm.
you like bake that in the pan. I don't know exactly how you would do that. I don't know if you would start just the dough in the pan in your cast iron and then like top it and then it goes back in the oven. It's probably like, a 20-minute, half hour cook on the pizza, because you're trying to accomplish like a light, airy, crispy dough. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't, dude. I don't know anything about dough. I really don't.
Dude, Detroit style is like its home. Like, I'm careful to because I was referring to it as like Detroit style in quotes, air quotes, a lot, and like I think Detroit's calling it Detroit style is like even more specific than just calling it like pan pizza. They have like
Is it?
I don't want to butcher this because they use like special cheese in it.
Mm.
What is it called? I'm gonna look it up real quick. Brick cheese? Is that what it's called?
That actually sounds right. I have heard that before.
Wisconsin brick cheese is what it's called.
Okay. What makes it brick cheese?
And it also they have like specific like a pan, like it's like a square, like almost like a loaf pan, but with like high walls on it. What makes Wisconsin brick cheese? It's made in a brick shape, so that's a good start.
Okay.
Using actual bricks to form the shape. There's 2 bricks right there. It says when unaged, the cheese.
To make it taste different?
I'm just reading off of Wikipedia. When unaged, the cheese has a sweet, mild flavor and is subtle for melting. After aging, it has a stronger smell and a more nutty. Yeah. Anyway, pizza's good. Pan pizza's good. I'd like to try some real like Detroit pizza.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, that kind of has an interesting history too, Detroit style, because the reason why it's like a square shaped is because they were originally made in like these like automotive pans. I don't know exactly what the pans were used for, but you know, obviously Detroit has a rich history in the automotive industry, and Motor City. It's only appropriate that they started baking pizza in like oil pans or whatever the fuck they were they were using. Interesting.
They're just fucking making pizza on the engine of the convertible and shit.
The Chevy Big Block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's hammy. Hammy.
Last night I cooked up that cow soy paste, and well, I cooked up cow soy using the cow soy paste. But
yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, it came out really good. We had talked about the cow soy. Was that last episode? No, 2 episodes ago. And we were talking about the color of it. Turns out there is no shrimp paste in it at all, which we thought that maybe that attributed to the color of it. It's kind of interesting, and it like so many times when you're cooking something, the thought of like, how the fuck did anybody figure this out comes across your mind. You're like, whoever thought to like add these ingredients together? And it like one of the key component ingredients to cow soy is black cardamom, which I was unfamiliar with. I picked up some at the Asian market. You get them in like the whole cardamom pods, and you have to like break them open, and inside of the cardamom pod is like a lot of these like small seeds, and that's the cardamom. So when you break them open, you smell them. They're smoky. They're really peaty. It kind of smells like scotch. And so I guess black cardamom is just like smoked cardamom pods. It seems. Which I
and that wait, so that you buy that as you bought that?
Yeah.
Like in a spice bottle or whatever?
Yeah, it was like in a little baggie.
It's already like okay.
Yeah, so you buy the black cardamom. It's already smoked. I think it's a specific ingredient to. I don't know if it's Thailand or like at least Southeast Asia. So you break those things open, you get the seeds out of there, and then you combine that with coriander seed, which is the seed of cilantro, and you toast those up in a pan, and then you take those out, throw them into a mortar and pestle, and grind those up. And then while you're grinding those up, back in the pan, you do fresh ginger and turmeric in the pan, and you kind of like blacken them in the pan a little bit to get them charred. Then once you got those charred, then you add those to the mortar and pestle, grind those up, and then while you're doing that, you throw in a bunch of shallots into the pan, and you char those, and you take those out, and you throw that into the mortar and pestle, and you grind all that up, and then you add like coarse salt, helps to grind up, and then you also add a bunch of dried chili peppers. I use guajillos. It's a traditionally Mexican pepper, but it's what is comparable. Apparently, you can use as a substitute. Added that, ground it all up into a paste. It took a long time, and I got tired, so I threw it into a blender, and and I finished it off there. Dude, I have a mortar and pestle, but the pestle, I'm assuming the pestle is that part that you hold in your hand.
That's what I was just gonna ask you, which is which.
I think the mortar is the bowl. So the pestle, the one I have, it's so short, you constantly hitting your knuckles on the bowl on the inside. It's really uncomfortable to use.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it mostly ground up, but it was still you're grinding ginger and all this turmeric, so it's really fibrous. So I ended up throwing it in the blender and letting it go to town. But I mean, I bagged up. I figured if I'm putting all this effort in to making this, I might as well make a couple. So I ended up making 3 portions, and I vacuum sealed 2, and I gave you one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw the other one in my freezer. So the rest of it is fairly easy. Once you got that, basically you just take the paste, cook it in with coconut milk, and then bone in, skin on. It's traditionally chicken legs. I didn't have legs, had chicken thighs. Fucking came out great.
Nice.
Simmer them in the liquid, the coconut milk and the paste until it's fall apart tender. And then you got the wonton noodles. Take some of those, deep fry a portion of them. So in the bowl, you got the noodles, then your broth, chicken, and on top is crispy fried noodles. So you get a different textures. Weird ingredient that I said there was greens on top when we were talking about it. I thought some kind of herbs. Looking back at the pictures, I confirmed it. It's not. It was pickled mustard greens. So I was able to find,
Interesting.
pickled mustard greens. I was able to find those at the Asian market. Open them up. I was definitely a little fucking nervous to try those out.
So it's in a jar of mustard
in a bag.
Greens. A bag.
Yeah, a bag. It's a
Is
bag.
it one of those like Thai grocery bags where it's just air filled and they spin it and it's a
No, I think maybe I would have felt more comfortable if it was one of those. No, it was dude, it was an entire mustard plant that was folded up inside of this bag and pickled. And then so when you pull it out, it's got the root and everything all intact, and then you basically unfold and it's a whole fucking mustard plant.
Weird.
So chop, dude. I mean, it didn't taste bad. It was definitely funky, and not a traditional pickled vegetable you would have.
I mean, but it was really acidic and did have some sweetness to it, and
I think it was more of a fermented pickle.
They ferment everything over there, those motherfuckers. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of acidity, a little bit of I don't know if I'd really identify it as brightness. It is actually the pickled mustard green was actually fairly smoky, I thought, as well. And I don't know if that was just a flavor that they imparted, or if that was just the flavor of the pickled mustard greens. It just came across as smoky, but it definitely had a smokiness to it. And then also on top, there's fried chili flakes. So I fried the noodles, took the noodles out, then I fried some chili flakes, and then you get shallots or red onion. I use shallots.
Like red chili flakes?
Mm-hmm.
You fried those.
Thai chili flakes, fried. Don't know really what kind of flavor was imparted by frying them, but that's what the Thai lady on the TV said, so that's what I did.
It just sounds challenging to do, honestly. How fine of a strainer do you need to fry? I guess they're not that fine, but
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have the Thai chili flakes that I got at the Asian market, but I think any kind of your Italian red chili flakes that you would put on like pizza. Those are pretty much the same. Probably a different kind of pepper, I would imagine, but pretty much the same.
I mean,
I did all the heavy lifting for you though. You can just fucking take that paste, throw it in with some coconut milk, simmer your chicken in it, boil noodles, and have a day.
Will do. And no, you didn't brown the chicken. You just go in raw.
Just goes in raw, and I was like kind of nervous about skin on chicken, like simmering and without browning it, but like it becomes so fall apart tender that the skin, I just kind of like broke it up into the soup, and you just get these like rich fatty bites with the soup broth.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was really delicious.
It looked really good. The pictures look really good. I'm looking forward to playing with it for sure.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Before we move on, the mortar and pestle, it's like novelty, right? I mean, like I don't know. That's how I see that tool all the time. I see people using it. I'm like, it's cool. Like it's kind of like interesting to use, and it's cool if you have one and you're making a small, like, especially like when people serve things in it. I think that's really cool, right? Like when you make the thing, like, I don't know, sometimes it's like guacamole, right? And you like make it and then you like serve it in that or whatever, a sauce or something.
Well, I mean,
I don't really see it. Like it can't be better than just like food processor,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's really like that's like the original like spice grinder,
right?
You know, I don't know. Maybe there's certain things that like the act of doing that and like creating the paste, like maybe it brings out the oils and stuff that like a sharp blade, in a food processor might not do. Where like in a mortar and pestle, you're like crushing it.
Yeah.
Like expelling the oils and whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I mean,
who am I to?
I say that, like, but I'm also like, oh, I wish I kind of had one. I think it's neat, and I'm like into like interesting like tools enough to like be like, oh, this is a cool thing to have. If not only for like, it's just like it's cool decoration. It's a cool thing to have. It's cool to like to do like. I mean, right? Like I'm not cooking for hundreds of people anymore, right? It's only a couple of us, so it's like,
yeah,
it's fun to do fun like technique stuff like that, even if it's not like the most efficient way to do it. I just always thought, I was like, I don't know that's any better.
There's like there's a really cool one that we had it at Lulu's where the inside of the bowl, it was, instead of like a stone bowl, it was more of like a ceramic bowl, and on the inside there was like ridges, like it was like combed from the inside, like maybe from the bottom to the top. It was like combed with like a fine tooth comb, literally. So there's like edges in it, and you grind it with a wooden pestle. And the sound that it makes when you're grinding the like coriander seeds or whatever against those ridges, it kind of sounds like one of those. You ever seen one of those like rain sticks where you turn it upside down? I don't know what they're full of beans or something, and it sounds like they're like raining.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It kind of like has that kind of like kind of like sound as you're like grinding against all the ridges. It's really cool.
Can we do that again one more time?
Some ASMR for the listeners.
That's nice.
might sound terrible.
That's nice. But we also I cooked this week for Country Food Challenge. Need a name for that. Sound off in the comments on what you think the name is for this segment. But I was gifted Cuba to make on. I made it on Saturday night for Sammy and I made ropa vieja with congri and some roasted plantains. Congri is like dark rice and beans, basically. It's like mixed together. So I like made black beans with just like kind of a bunch of like Latin spices, I guess, like kind of coriander, salt, pepper, adobo, sazon, bunch of oregano, and some Mexican oregano that I used. And I put like a ham hock in there. and cook those black beans, and then kind of just cook some rice, like kind of pilaf style, in chicken stock, and then just mixed them together. Didn't turn out. Sometimes when I see congri in a restaurant or whatever, or even in the pictures I saw online, I see it's like super dark. This is not super dark. It's just kind of like, and maybe I like could have even like cooked the rice in like some of the bean water. I had that thought afterwards. I was like, oh, that would make it like, then you're like getting all that flavor without like sogging out the final dish. But anyway, it tasted really good. It was awesome. And then ropa vieja is a braised shredded beef dish. So I got a brisket and seared it off. Well, first I marinated it in and kind of similar spices. The adobo. This is on the and there's also we were talking about this weekend, but there's some soy sauce that was part of the marinade, soy sauce and lemon juice, and that I kind of marinated that for I'm gonna say 2 to 3 hours, or so. Seared off the beef. I wound up using the pressure cooker, and yeah, then in that same pan, I put peppers, onions, some white wine to kind of loosen up all that delicious flavor off the pan, and a can of San Marzanos went into it, and also some. I had some chicken stock with some beef base, so it's kind of a little whatever meat meat stock.
A meat stock,
supposed to be beef stock. I happen to have chicken stock on hand that I was trying to use up, and so I threw a little beef base in there with it as well. Yeah, pressure cooked it for 35 minutes. Shredded the beef back into the sauce. It's when I see like images of it, and I have had it. It's like very it's like the meat is it's not like soup, right? Like, so this is kind of like, it was soup at the time when I kind of finished it. There's a lot of liquid. I don't know what the standard operating procedure is as far as like maybe like drain off all this liquid. Right. It's still like we have leftovers. It's still kind of sitting in that liquid. And I've just been like eating it along like leftover like scoop of congri, and then like I've been eating it like pretty loose because I think the liquid is pretty flavorful and delicious. But when I served it Saturday, I kind of like tonged out like a just like a little pile of the beef, and and like right at the end, like probably with like 10 minutes to go, I threw in more like red onions and peppers. So it's kind of like not fresh, but not beat down vegetables.
It was really,
and that dish was really awesome.
Yeah, we had tasted some when we were at your house, and we even made a pizza with some of it.
Yeah,
which was dope.
Yeah, it was fun.
I wonder though if, since you described it like not being like a stew, I wonder if the idea would be to like when you're cooking short ribs, remove the ribs and then cook down the liquid, maybe.
Possibly. You know, I think this goes back to my like French isn't the best way to do it all the time, because I think I was like caught in this cycle of like I would do that for everything, right? Like anything that could possibly be braised, I would take the liquid, I would reduce it down to whatever it took to get that thing to be thick like a sauce, right? Like, and so in that sense, I think I would disregard the like flavor content of the thing at times. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying like, oh, like maybe this at this point is the best flavor wise, or it's like really full flavored at this point, but it's not as thick as I really want it. So I'm going to keep on going with it. And I think, I'm trying to do that less. I'm trying to like listen to like, or taste the flavors of it and be like, and make a decision, as opposed to like looking at the thing to make that decision. I don't think you're wrong about that.
I found myself doing that as well, to where you're like, you taste it and you're like, oh, this is delicious. But exactly that, you're like, well, it's not, the sauce isn't as thick as I would like it to be. So you continue reducing it, and then it just becomes like way too salty, or like, I don't know, so one thing or another. It's not as good as it was. It looks better, you know, and it might even like eat better because the sauce is like thick and hangs onto it, but it's like it's way saltier, or it's way
It's heavy. Yeah.
different. Yeah, it's just not as flavorful as
Sure. And I mean, there was a time where a chef did teach me this lesson once. Was like, you don't have to reduce the stock all the way down to nappe. Like you can thicken it. You can slurry this thing and make it good. And this is years ago, but I do remember that that lesson. And honestly, I heard it and I kept on moving, and I was like, still kind of on that path, because you're kind of taught like, oh, you want to just keep developing flavor, and it's like is a valid asset in like the chef's toolbox, right? Is like always developing more flavor. Oh, how can you bring more flavor out of this thing? And when you're so focused on that, I think it's easy to like disregard like, oh, this thing is actually like kind of spot on right now. And like you said, like you get to like a too salty point, or sometimes there's a beef stock that's like not salty at all, but it's just, I don't know, take it down a little far. You can like, and you can introduce like bitter flavors, even if it's not burnt, but like
bitter for
you're
sure.
like over reducing a thing. Yeah, you can like bring out some of that like almost like burnt flavors, even if you're not seeing like it turn dark like that.
Yeah, actually, I have a dish in my mind that sticks out. This is when we were working, or when I was working at Plumpjack. You had moved on at this point, but Wolfgang Puck actually came into the restaurant, and I cooked for him, and he ordered a braised lamb shank. Probably the same braised lamb shank from the idiot sandwich I told early on in the show, where the guy dishwasher was eating the raw one. To be clear, I didn't feed Wolfgang Puck that same lamb shank.
Didn't have a bite out of it,
but no. But that was a dish I think I was over reducing the sauce on it, because it became like super super thick and it looked really sexy, but like, if I'm looking back and I'm being truthful with myself, it was like probably thicker than it should have been. And but yeah, Wolfgang Puck, he ordered that, and he didn't eat a whole lot of it. He actually didn't eat a whole lot of anything. So I don't know. He's a fucking slight little Austrian man. So maybe he just wasn't very hungry. Maybe he loved it. I don't know. It was a big lamb shank.
Those are monsters I'm picturing, the ones that we used to serve there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but truthfully, if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't have cooked it as far as I did.
I'm going to pause for a quick second.
We're pausing.
I do want to talk about this week, Ronnie. I think this will be a pretty fun topic. Talk about some workplace injuries, stuff that have happened to us. I'm sure, like, I mean, I have a ton of stories of when I've hurt myself in the kitchen. I've seen other people get hurt a bunch. Some pretty like gnar stories around that. And I'm curious to hear some of the stories that you have as well.
Yeah, I mean, the kitchen is a dangerous place, and anyone that's worked in the kitchen long enough, you've lost some skin
for sure,
or limbs potentially.
For sure.
Nobody comes out unscathed.
For sure. It's so funny because like I was like starting to like, this is like kind of COVID is happening, and I'm like getting ready to leave the restaurant. I like have my site, like I'm like taking like lessons to like get into a new career, and I'm still working at the restaurant, and my buddy James is, and I was like, dude, I was just so stoked, like I'm not gonna like go to work and like burn my arm anymore. And he was like, you know what, like cooks don't ever complain about burning themselves. It's like it's got to be a really shitty job to go into work every day and like probably burn yourself, and like that's not the worst part of your job.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you were like go to your Pepsi job and like there was just someone there that was just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking take these tongs and throw them on the stove for a little bit and just burn you. You know,
Yeah.
that's a fun one.
Yeah, grabbing hot things. Especially the worst is, I mean, we all burn ourselves. The worst is when somebody hands you a pan or sets something down on your station and doesn't let you know. Or the international sign for, hey, this is fucking hot, is you leave a towel on the handle of it so that someone can safely handle it. And someone will set something on your station and they don't follow proper protocol, and you grab that thing and then weld your hand to the pan, really fucking sucks.
Well, it's your fault. It's your fault.
Yeah. Oh, assume everything's always hot. Fucking dude, I'm sorry. If you come fucking set something on my station and you don't fucking give me a heads up, that shit's on you. Don't be a dick.
You do get super comfortable with like the things that are like, or it's like a burn, but it's like a like it's like a trivial kind of burn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that kind of got me, but like it like doesn't phase you at all, right? Like you're like, oh, this happens so often that like you can still get burned and be like, ooh, that was a rough one, but like after a while, when you've been in it for a while, like a little one like doesn't even like phase you
Yeah.
in the slightest. You know what
Well,
I
and
mean?
a lot of times when it happens, like you're in the fucking weeds. Like you have a full board of tickets, you're super busy, burn the shit out of your hand, and like you just have to keep going. Like you can't, there isn't time for you to stop and nurse your wound, you know? Like
Yeah, for sure.
fucking little Jimmy's got to get his chicken tenders, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking send it out.
Dude, and it's so gnar when you're like have a fresh burn. It hasn't even really like it hasn't really like even like happened yet, like it hasn't blistered yet. It's just like red, but then you're like still working, so your like hand is still like going over the fire, and you're like every time it gets closer to the fire, or you go over to the like the steam table to get some stock or something, and it's just like steaming onto your like freshly burned hand or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, give me one of your worst burn stories.
This one stands out at least a lot. I know I've had like a number, well, like when I was a kid, I was working at this place. It was a country club. I've kind of talked about a little bit. I was a bus boy, and someone took a bowl of like split pea soup or something from out from under the broiler, and I didn't know any different. And that was the first time like I really like burned myself in a kitchen, and I'm pretty sure like I left my fingerprints on that plate. That really fucking hurt.
Whew.
But at work, like as a cook, I was searing some I think it was sea bass, and you sear the bass and have some oil in the pan, sear it skin side down, and then I would always take the pan, put my fish spatula on top of the fish, drain whatever excess oil into like a metal tin, off to the side, and then I would throw it in the oven to finish cooking it. And this one time, I was super fucking busy. I can't exactly remember what happened, but I know I went to turn to pour out that oil, and either I stopped short, maybe someone was moving and I like pulled the pan back, or I don't know exactly what happened, but what I do remember happening is the oil spilled out of the pan and straight into my shoe. I was wearing Crocs, and it went straight down on top of my foot, and you got sock on, so it was just like absorbed into the sock, and the hot oil was just like burning the top of my foot. And
Whew.
yeah, that was one of those moments how we were just in the middle of a rush, and I wasn't able to attend to it until I cleared my tickets. And then when I did, I had a really gross bubbling blister on the top of my foot,
Oof.
which I still have a scar for.
You don't hear a lot of foot burns, honestly.
Yeah. No, that was a rare one.
I thought you were about to tell the story that I'm about to tell now, which is so I haven't spoke a ton about Ciro's, but so up in Saratoga Springs, New York, we'd go up, and this restaurant was like unique in the sense that it was only open for like 8 weeks during the horse track season.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd go. We were at school. We would go up, take the summer off from school, go work, come back down to school, and I was working the roast station. I think this night I want to say it was like a halibut on my station, and same thing. It was kind of like a pan fry. I don't know, for whatever reason. Like this was like we like cooked it in like probably a half inch to an inch of oil, and I fucking had a couple pieces of fish in the pan. Really fucking busy, like an idiot. I grabbed the handle of the pan, same thing, fish spout in my right hand, handle in the other, and I flip this piece of fish, and like, I mean, the book says like you should be flipping that fish away from your body so that when the oil spills, it's going to spill instead like onto the burner and not like onto you. But I didn't, and I like flipped it like towards me, and it like like a quarter pipe off the rim of the saute pan, and it like landed like right on my fucking hand, like really fucking bad. And so I mean, the restaurant, we were working a lot, right? We'd like go in at like, I don't know, between like 10 and noon, and we'd get out of there. Like this is nothing special, but get out of there at like 11 o'clock every night. And we happen to be working 6 days a week, right? This is like a super shortened season timeline, right? So every day I would go in there, I would fucking glove up because I had like a massive wound on my hand, and like there was nothing I could do but like just like glove up for the entire day while I was like working on my prep, and it would just like steam in there. And
So gnarly.
I think for like 2 months it just like never healed. It was just like always like,
because it's just wet in there, like
it's just wet all the time. And I mean, I remember one of the servers coming up to me and being like, dude, you should go to like the hospital. And I should also say that I was like very young at the time, right? I'm in college. I think the years that I was there, I was like 17, 18, and 19. So I was like very young. And, you know, like, I guess arrogant in that sense. I was just like, no, I don't, or at least like, I don't need that, right? I was just like, I was carrying like a toughness about me, whether I was tough or not. I like wanted to be perceived as that I was tough. And yeah, I mean, it took until the end of the season. I eventually like got a couple days off in a row and like actually tended to it. But I was like, dude, for like 2 months to have like an open wound on your hand is like kind of gnar, you know? Like, and like when I like look back at it now,
super gnarly. And like that's one of those things about like is so toxic about like the food industry is like it's really frowned upon to call out of work sick, to call out injured, to even just like show that you're in pain or like
sure,
weakness, in a lot of ways. And like you're just expected to continue working, which like is just doesn't exist in so many other
sure,
jobs in America. At least like, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of blue collar jobs where that is still the case,
sure.
But yeah, the shit that cooks put up with, it's
At the same time, I mean, I'll probably sound like a broken record, but it's probably like something that's like attractive about it, and like you kind of like get a rush from that, there's like a little like when you are injured, let's say, or you're having a rough day, or you're haven't slept a lot, and you like end up in there, and like I thought that there was like a lot of pride that went along with that as well, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah.
and then when you're like crushing beers later that night at the bar, you're like, it's it's a little bit of like a dick measuring contest. Like, oh, well, you're a fucking pussy for not being able to do that because look at me, I fucked up myself and I'm still here, and like it's like I don't I agree with your saying, and I wouldn't want a lot of people, or I wouldn't put a lot of people in the same position that I've put myself in the past in this industry. But at the same time, like it's part of being on the pirate ship a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's what gives us the identity of pirates. Also, ragtag crew, fucking eye patches and wooden legs. It's like you guys should not be working, but there they are, fucking 12 to 16 hours a day.
Sure. I mean, to your point, I have like another one where this is not a kitchen injury, but me and Jake and Taylor went down we were working at Plum Jacks in North Lake. We go down to South Lake. We were going to a Sound Tribe show that night. We were like looking to have a good time, but like we had the day off, so we went down and like skied and snowboarded at Sierra Tahoe. It was like a spring day. It was awesome. So we go down, get some laps in. It's the end of the day, and it's like I'm saying, it's spring, so it's pretty warm, and we're like going through the terrain park, and I straight line this like it's like a step down, right? It's like a pretty big jump. Like it's probably like I don't know, probably like a 20-foot like gap, and like for people who don't know, like a step down would be like a kicker, like a jump, and then the jump, like the lip of the jump is probably like 10 feet off the ground, and then there's like a gap, and then the landing is like where the base of the jump starts, right? So you're like you're kind of up in the air like 15, 20 feet, and then you're like, if you land on the landing, it's smooth sailing. I happened to, because it was hot and I like didn't get enough speed, and it was like sticky day, and I like shorted this tabletop, and I like called like knuckled, like I landed like right where like the landing meets the flat on the top, and um, I like really like fucked myself up, and I found out later that I had like torn both my meniscus, right? So I'm like, had a really rough like rest of the day. Like I was like on the backside of the mountain. I had to like take the lift up to the top. I was like in rough shape, and then like skied down, but same thing, like not having a good time. Knew I was hurt, but like also like prideful of like being tough about it, and get off the mountain. Do wind up going to that show that night, but like kind of limping around. I like wind up in a hotel room, and like, Zach, like our buddy Zach, he like has to like help me out of like the hotel bed to like walk me to the bathroom to take a piss. I couldn't walk at all. And this, I think if I remember this,
so fucked.
Yeah. I think if I remember this correctly, this was a Wednesday. I also had like the Thursday off, and then I was like due back to work on Friday. And it's like honestly like one of the few times in my cooking career that I've ever like I like on Thursday like called chef and was like, I don't think I can make it to work on Friday. So this is like 2 days later. I like couldn't walk, right? I was taken out of the hotel in a wheelchair. And then the whole like next day I like couldn't get out of like the lazy boy in our house. And the one day off, I took that Friday off. But like sure enough, like Saturday, like hobbling my way in there, and I like taped up really good, and like or I think I like had like ace bandage wrapped around like both my fucking knees, and I worked the shift and worked every shift from there out. Like there was no more like time that was taken off from that. And I happened to like, I mean, like a meniscus is not like it's not a motion muscle, right? It's like kind of more of like padding in your knees, but like super painful. But anyway, like I don't know, you just don't have that luxury, especially like, I mean, the time off I'm taking is all unpaid.
Right.
There's no paid time off, and I'm like super broke anyway. So yeah, you just like really don't have that luxury, and you're just kind
Yeah.
of tough through it.
Well, and not to mention like the long term effects that working in a kitchen has on your body. Um, I'm sure you're in pain all the time from your days in the kitchen. Um, I for sure am. Um, I have a herniated disc in my back and a bulging disc just below that one. And it's something that I live with. I've had fucking injections in my spinal injections to deal with the pain, probably due for more. Yeah, when it was at its worst, yeah, I had sciatica pain that, went from my back all the way down to my toes and my right leg. And, you somehow like make it through work, and then I drive home and it was like excruciatingly painful to get out of my truck, or even to get into my truck and then get back out of it, hobble myself upstairs, and then I would lay flat on my back, and it's still pain that I deal with. It's not as bad as it was, but shit's brutal, man. Working in a kitchen is not easy work. Ain't for the weary, that's for sure.
But I would do it all again too, at the same time. I don't know if I'd make every decision that I've made.
Yeah, maybe there's some things I would do differently
again, but
yeah, I would do some things differently.
yeah, but I would do it all over again. You got any other good ones? I know that like,
gosh, I mean, there's a lot of gory ones
yeah,
that I'll spare our listeners from, but mandolin injuries. If you don't know what a mandolin is, it's not an instrument. I mean, it is an instrument, but in the kitchen, it is not. It is a board with a razor blade on it, and it's used to slice things very thin. It's the most dangerous tool in a kitchen. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Every cook, I'm sure, is afraid of that thing. Every time you have to use one, the thought of cutting your fingers off on it goes through your head. I've definitely sustained a number of injuries on that. Knife injuries happen as well. Whether you're careless or freak incidents. I've seen fellow cooks lob tips of their fingers off. So
sure,
that shit. And then you bandage it up and get back on the line. Honestly, and yeah, it's just part of the game.
When I was super young, I must have been like 16. I was going to vocational school, and one of the chefs saw something in me maybe and was like, "Hey, like if you want to go work this shift at this banquet hall, you can go work this." So this was kind of like a gift, I was like really excited about it. Again, yeah, 16 years old. I show up for the shift. Like I'm gonna do prep, right? Like it's a banquet. I'm gonna chop some herbs and cut some celery. And yeah, I was cutting celery, and you're supposed to have your knuckles curled back. My pointer finger winds up sneaking its way over towards the blade, and I wound up cutting myself pretty good. And I, at the end of the shift, chef was like, "Yeah, you did good, except for cutting your finger off or whatever." I never got a call back about that one, but
Oh man,
it was I was actually like probably the first like real kitchen I was ever actually in. Like I did like work in the pizzeria and whatever, but this was like an actual banquet hall where there was actual dishes going out.
and you blew it.
And I blew it. And yeah,
actually, one time on the mandolin, fucking slow day at Plumpjack, and one of the like corporate people were there, and the guy like leans into the kitchen and he goes, "Oh, hey bud, do you think you can make me some potato chips for the road?" It's like, we don't have potato chips on the menu. I was like, sure, yeah, sure, I'll make you a bag of potato chips. So I go and
for the road.
What's that?
For the road.
For the road, yeah. I go and I grab it, and I probably shouldn't have done this, but I removed the baskets from the fryer, and I rested the mandolin up on the back of the fryer where the baskets go into, and I was quickly mandolining potatoes straight into the fryer instead of like doing them on a cutting board and then throwing them in. You know, they fall right off the mandolin into the fryer, and then you're done. It's really quick and easy, except for when you are going quick and then you jam your thumb straight into the blade. And then, so I cut myself. That like quickly like bandage it up. Then I got like potatoes burning. So like I'm one hand, I like trying to scoop these out, and I'm like running around, and I go next door and I'm trying to clean this thing. And it's just like, it's a bleeder. And then I like finally get back and I start slicing this guy more potatoes. And then he pops back in and he goes, "Hey, bud." And he holds up a bag of Lay's and he goes, "I found these in the back. I'll just take these." I was like, okay, cool. Sounds good.
Man, thanks, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good one.
Yeah, now just nurse my thumb. Also, did I mention I don't have health insurance? Because you guys don't pay for that.
Fucking assholes, yeah.
Shall we move on to the idiot sandwiches?
Idiot sandwich.
What are you? Idiot.
You stupid idiot.
I'm an idiot sandwich.
You're an idiot.
Of all the idiots, you stand alone.
This was when we first started at PJ's. I was working in Garmin J. If you don't know what Garmin J is, it's like the cold station. You got salads, desserts, things like that come off that station. It's where a lot of like cooks start in a kitchen. And I was working Garmin J. The morning crew, I think the guy's name was Luis, but I can't be for sure. So anyway, morning crew leaves, and Luis was working in the morning. He had prepped the, I think it was a sherry vinaigrette. First ticket comes in. I'm making the salad. I dressed the salad, and I tasted it. Always taste your food, even if it's salad. I taste it, take a bite of the lettuce, and it just tastes like booze. Straight up booze. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I like look at the vinaigrette and I smell it, and it just smells like alcohol. Well, what Luis had done is the way the recipe is supposed to be made is you cook down a bottle of sherry wine, and then you add shallots and sherry vinegar, and you emulsify it. What he did was he cooked down a bottle of sherry vinegar and then added the wine and emulsified it. So he had reduced vinegar with raw wine instead of reduced wine with raw vinegar. And so, Luis, you get the idiot sandwich for not tasting your prep.
Luis, you're dumb.
You're dumb.
But congratulations. This time being dumb got you somewhere. I have one.
Okay.
I'm the I helped make the idiot sandwich in this.
Okay.
So this is a prank, right? If we haven't done this together, I did this in at Azul, and this is I think it was April Fool's Day. Where like we got to get these servers, you know. So what I do is we're making some brine that morning. Kind of has like a nice like dark color to it, right? It's like looks damn close to iced tea. And I take a 10 quart of this brine, and I put a bunch of ice in it. I take some lemons, some half lemons, and I throw them in this brine, and I put a label on it that's, you know, sweet tea, and I put it out on the line with a ladle in it and a bunch of cups, and then I'm just sitting there twirling my tongs, waiting for these servers to come by and drink this salt water in front of me. And sure enough, probably a dozen of them do, and they're not telling each other, and they're just like, they're just taking Dixie cups and putting them back and making faces, and I don't know. It's a pretty good time. So, all the servers that April Fool's Day, congratulations.
Bunch of idiots.
You get the idiot sandwich this week. Bunch of idiots.
Get like a big 12-foot sub.
Yeah.
Party sub.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, it's an easy mistake. It's pretty common. I feel like we did that at Plum Shacks at times too, probably.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I do miss the kitchen hijinks, the pranks. When I worked at Lulu's, it was a lot more serious. There wasn't pranking going on. Nobody was freezing each other's knives in 22-quart buckets of ice or
that's pretty good.
Yeah, anything like that. But when you're young and dumb, and things are fun.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit of a new segment that we're going to do. It's called the Whipped Cream Salmon School for Cooks That Don't Cook Good.
I've been looking forward to this, Ronnie.
And we're going to offer the cooks that don't cook good home cooking tips.
Yeah, let's go.
I think this will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So we're going to take turns.
I have one. Yeah, you go.
You do have one?
I do. I have one, yeah.
Okay, great. So my tip, and I'm curious if you know this one, because this was one that I'm sure you might, but this is one that I definitely learned later in my career. Cleaning a blender is a pain in the ass. Okay? To get under the blade and everything, it's really hard. Especially if you don't have like a high pressure hose, sprayer like at commercial kitchens. Instead of trying to get that underneath the blade, rinse it out initially as best as you can. Then take the blender, pump some soap directly into the blender and hot water. And then take that blender and put it back on the blending stand and just turn that bitch on. And it'll clean itself. You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
That's brilliant. I never did that.
It's a game changer.
Not once.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Well, next time you have a dirty blender, you're going to do that and you'll be like, wow.
Literally every day we have that.
What have I been doing with my life?
I'm like ruining like a rubber spatula, like when I'm trying to squeeze out.
That's the fucking rubber spatula gets stuck out against the blade.
I cut myself
it's like cutting into it.
I feel like I've cut myself on that blade.
Don't hurt yourself. Just fucking.
That's a great one.
Turn that bitch on with soap and water in it, and it cleans itself.
Thank you, Ronnie.
You're welcome, world.
I love that.
You're welcome. What kind of tip do you have for us?
I have. I've been doing this for a while, I guess. And I'm wondering if you've seen this, but so most people, when they're juicing a lemon, they'll like cut, like maybe you'll roll the lemon to like get the juices going a little bit, and you'll cut it in half, and then you'll like strain the juice through maybe a chinois or something like that, strainer.
Mm-hmm.
It's fancy, Brian being fancy for strainer. What I have been doing for I think years now is like you roll it just like you would normally, and then instead of cutting the lemon in half, you can like take it, if you're looking at it like an egg, and you can go like offset from the core of it, from the center, and like cut the sides of the lemon off. The cheeks. Yeah, exactly. Sounds like you do this. So you get like 4 of those, and then you get the center, which is like kind of the square core center of the lemon. And I just find that that's the best way to get the most juice out of juicing a lemon. And often, especially with like only a couple people, you don't even really need a whole lemon. I feel like you get like a single cheek, and that's good for a salad, right? Or whatever, some rice or whatever you're making. So, Brian's tip for cooks who don't cook good is
I love that one.
Yeah, take the cheeks off your lemon.
I think I started doing that like around COVID-ish. There was a lot of cooking shows and stuff on YouTube, and I saw that and I adopted that. Yeah. And it is great. You don't get any seeds, and then when you do just have the core, then the seeds are all exposed, and you can pluck them out really easily.
Yep.
Great tip. Love it.
I think that brings us to the end of our episode, y'all.
Sad time.
It is sad. I'm gonna cry a little bit, but
We'll be back.
thanks for being here with us. Give us a follow, give us a rating. Download these pods, listen to them on your, slap them on your iPod or
your iPod, your shuffle, or
you have a shuffle, or maybe you have like a tape that you can like record it onto and stick it into your car.
Give it to your friends.
Yeah, mixtape.
Yeah, make a mixtape and give it to your friends.
Yeah. But it was really fun hanging out, Ronnie, and I look forward to whipped creaming to come. Whipped creaming to come.
What?
Oh,
Pause.
That was gross, dude.
Stay creamy.
Stay creamy, y'all. Peace.
Bye.